from 1.3, f of x equals 2x plus 6. And it is a vertical shrink of 1/2. Now, vertical stretch or shrink, the general form for it is a times f of x, where a is the amount that we stretch or shrink. And with vertical stretch or shrink, the amount that they give us is the exact amount for a. So since it tells us it's stretching or shrinking it by a factor of 1/2, vertical shrink of 1/2, we take that and plug it in for a. Because the only one that we actually have to do something with is horizontal stretch or shrink. Horizontal stretch or shrink, we flip it before we plug it in. Now, since we still just have f of x, we can replace it with its function, giving us 1/2 times 2x plus 6. Then at this point here, we can distribute the 1/2 through. 1/2 times 2x is going to be x, and 1/2 times 6 is 3. Questions on this here? And again, with this vertical stretch or shrink, or any of these transformations that we're applying it to the function, I would stick to the general form. Questions on this here? Any other questions on the homework? So we're finishing up 1.4 today. 1.4. So what we did yesterday, we went over equations of line and finding the equation of a line, finding the slope, interpreting the slope, and then answering some questions that went along with the problem. Yes. Amazon.
Horizontal shrink, it is, would you call it the same as horizontal stretch?
So horizontal stretch and shrink are going to be the same. So whatever the stretch or shrink is, we take that amount and flip it. So what did they say it stretched or shrunk horizontally by? 2. Mm-hmm. So the f, so for horizontal stretch and shrink, the general form is f of ax.
So if it was 1x, then it would be 2x. It was 2x.
So the stretch is, shrink is 1/2. So our a value is 2. So we're looking for f of 2x. Yep. So with, again, with any of those transformations, I would really stick to the general form f of ax, f of x plus k for up and down, f of x minus h for left and right. Use those general forms, plug in the specific values for ah and k, whichever one it is, and then go from there. Where are we at? Here? Yeah, because I would do it one at a time. So I wouldn't worry about anything else. So do the f of 2x, plug the 2x in for x. Simplify where needed. Then if there is a vertical translation, up or down, take that and apply it to it. So treat it one transformation at a time. Because it is possible to do more than one transformation. Well, you would have to know exactly how the transformations are going to affect each other. And if it works out just fine to do one at a time in the order that they're listed, I'd rather do that than try to figure out how they would interact. Does that make sense? Yeah. Finished? I'll take it. All right. I believe this is where we left off. Did we finish Allison's height? Okay. So this is where we left off. Allison's height. The graph shows the distance Allison hiked in x hours. Write an equation of a line and interpret the slope. And then we need to determine how long it takes her to hike 14 miles. So, first thing we need to do is find the slope. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, they did give us a point, 7, 24.5. And we can plug that point in. So we can plug the 24.5 in for y, because that is one of the y values, and 7 in for x. Did they give us a second point? Yes. What is it? Yeah, 0. Now, at this point, we can do this by hand. We can do it in the calculator. Either one works. 24.5 minus 0 is 24.5. 7 minus 0 is 7. Now, we did one like this earlier. We did one like this yesterday. And at this point here, we had our slope. And if we do this in the calculator, 24.5 minus 0 over 7 minus 0, we get 3.5. Now, the reason it converted it to a decimal is because we cannot have a decimal and a fraction together. We either have it as a decimal or we have it as a fraction. We can't have both. So for this one here, we'll convert it to a decimal or leave it as a decimal. So our slope, the slope of this line is 3.5. At this point here, we can go on and interpret the slope. Now, the two axes, or the two amounts that we have, is time and miles. The y on top would be miles. The denominator of the slope, the bottom of the slope would normally be time, but we don't have a denominator for 3.5. It's just a decimal. But there is a denominator. It's just understood to be 1. So what that's telling us is for every hour, for every 1 hour, because now the denominator, that x value, is 1. She hikes how far? No C in hike. Hikes 3.5 miles. Because if we have it as a decimal, the denominator, the bottom of the fraction, is understood to be 1. For every hour, she hikes 3.5 miles. That means for every 2 hours, she's going to hike how far? 7. Okay. I'm going to convert this back to a fraction. So as a fraction, 3.5 is indeed 7/2, yes? So for every 2 hours, denominator's 2, she hikes 7. So it does agree. Questions on how we found the slope or interpreted it? Okay. Now at this point here, we're going to find the equation of a line, because we found and interpreted the slope. Now again, our two forms that we have, I'll write both of them up here. You don't have to. We have y equals mx plus b, and y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. We use the second equation, our point-slope form, if we have the slope and a point. Because we start there and then go back to y equals mx plus b, our slope-intercept form. Because we want all these equations in slope-intercept form. Now, the only reason we wouldn't just pick slope-intercept form is if we do not have the y-intercept. Because if I have the slope and y-intercept already, we can plug it in for m and b, and we have our equation. Do we have the y-intercept here? Yes, the y-intercept is the point 0, 0. We know we have the y-intercept when one of the 2 points, or one of the points given to us, x value is 0. Because when the x value is 0, it's going to intercept the y-axis. So here 0, 0, it's telling us that the b value for our y-intercept is 0, and we have our slope as 3.5. And we can use that for our equation. Yes. So b is the y value at where it crosses the y-axis. So our y-intercept, where the y value of where it crosses the y-axis, is the y-intercept. Y-intercept is denoted as the point 0, comma b, 0, comma whatever that value is. That value would be our y-intercept. That answer that question? Okay. Now we don't need the point 0 or plus 0, so we can leave this as y equals 3.5x. So we now have our equation of y. How long does it take Allison to hike 14 miles, traveling at the same rate? So miles, our distance, is that our x variable or y variable? It's the y variable. So to solve this here, to find that x value, we need to replace the y with 14 is equal to 3.5x. Anybody have a guess at what x is going to be? So the reason I put 14 is it's asking us how long does it take her to hike 14 miles. So we're just trying to find this here. So we can divide both sides by 3.5, and we do get that x is equal to 4. Because once we were looking at the slope and we got the slope, we said that for every mile or every hour she travels 3.5 miles, yes? And we saw in a fractional form, for every 2 miles, or for every 2 hours she travels 7 miles, yes? Well, for 2 hours is 7 miles. If we double that, 4 hours would be 14. So it worked out nicely here. So it'd be 4 hours. It'd take her 4 hours to hike 14 miles. Questions on this here? Find equations of the line and slope. All right. 2 prom venues charge a rental fee plus a fee per student. The table below shows the total cost for different members of students at Lakeside Inn. The total cost Y in dollars for X students at Sunview Resort is represented by this equation. Which venue charges less per student? Then how many students must attend for the total cost to be the same? So Sunview, they already gave us the equation. Y equals 10x plus 600. Now we don't know what the equation is for Lakeside to see how much we're going to get charged per student. So we're going to have to find the equation for Lakeside. Because what this is telling us is our slope, the amount that it's changing, is the cost per student. So if we want to determine which one's going to cost less per student, we need to find out which one has the smaller slope. Because whichever one has the smaller slope is going to charge less per student. Because what this is telling us is Sunview Resort is charging $10 per student. For every student, the amount is going up by 10. So we have that there. Now, Lakeview, or Lakeside. The first thing we need to do is find the slope, yes? Now, our slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we need to pick a y value, or pick a point, xy, to plug in this here, yes? Give me a point. Give me a y value. There's one. Give me another one. 1800. Yeah. So we could say 1500 minus 1800. So we just pick two of the points, yes? Now, the corresponding x value to 1500 is 100. Corresponding x value to 1800 is 125. Because whichever y value we put first, its corresponding x value has to go first. Now at this point here, we can calculate this out. 1500 minus 1800 is going to be negative 300. 100 minus 125 is going to be negative 25. Now our negative divided by negative is going to make a positive. 300 divided by 25. How many quarters are in $3? Yeah. 12. 4 quarters in $1, we've got 3 of them. Positive 12. So how much is Lakeside charging per student? $12. Because that's the slope. Now, does it matter which 2 points I chose? No, let's say I chose 2700 minus 1500. Our x values would be 200 minus, it still gives us 12. Yes. So when finding the slope, when they give us a table, and for what we're going to be doing, it doesn't matter which 2 points we pick. We've just got to pick 2 of them, and it'll give us the slope. So, trying to figure out where I want to put this. Let's put it under the table. So, because it asks us 2 questions. First part, which venue charges less per student? So which one charged less? Sunview or Lakeside? Because which one had the smaller slope? Sunview is cheaper. Because so what we found out is the slope for Lakeside, yes, the amount they're going to charge per student, and that amount is how much? $12 per student, yes? And up here, they gave us the equation for Sunview as 10x plus 600, so they're going to charge $10 per student. So 600 is our starting amount. Because 2-prong video charge a rental fee plus a fee per student. So no matter how many people show up to Lakeside or Sunview Resort, you're going to be charged at minimum $600 plus $10 for every student. Well, they're just charging $12 per student. We don't know what the rental cost is yet. We'll find that here in a minute. But the question itself just asks which venue charges less per student. Not less total, just less per student. Sunview charges $10 per student. Lakeside's going to charge $12. Yes? Any other questions so far? Now, it will be helpful to find our equation, the equation of the line for lakeside view. Now, do we know what the y-intercept is? Unfortunately, no, because they only gave us from 100 to 200, increasing by 25. So we don't know what the y-intercept is. So we have to use point slope form. Now we know the slope is 12. So we have the slope, now we just need to pick a point. So give me one of the x values up here. We'll go with 150, I heard it first. And its corresponding y value is, now the interesting with this here, it doesn't matter which one we pick. We just have to pick one of the points. Because all of these lie on the same line. So no matter which one we pick, we will get the same equation. So point slope, so y equals mx plus b is where we're going to get to. Now here, for this equation, do we have the slope? Well, yes, it's 12. Do we know what the y-intercept is? So we don't know what the y-intercept is yet because we're not given x equals 0. Because if we had or knew what the y value when x is 0 was, we could plug it in for b. But unfortunately, we don't know that yet. We are going to find it. Questions on how we set this problem up? Now, what we need to do is get y by itself. First thing we need to do is simplify those parentheses on the right-hand side. We're going to distribute that 12 through. Now, 12 times x, 12x. Now, 12 times 150, we just, is going to be 1800. Now, since the 150 was negative, it's going to be negative 1800. Is y by itself. What do we need to do to get y by itself? Almost. So we're going to add 2100 to both sides. Because negative 2100 plus 2100 is 0. So that does give us y by itself. And when we add the 2100 to the right-hand side, the negative 1800 and the 2100 are like terms, so we can add them together. This would be positive 300. So our equation for lakeside is y equals 12x plus 300. Questions on how we found this equation? We feel good with these two here. Everything so far, yes? Now, did the question ask us to find that equation? What did it ask? How many students must attend for the total to be the same, yes? And in this, we'll look at this equation here, y equals 12x plus 300. What is standing or in place of the total cost? It's the y, isn't it? Because the y value tells us the total cost of how many students it would take to go to Lakeside, yes? Same thing for the other equation, our sun view. Y is representing the total cost. And we're wanting to know when the cost is going to be the same, when the y values are equal, yes? Because I'll write the other equation. So we're wanting to know when, get a highlighter, these two y values are the same. So we would also need to know when these two parts of the equation are the same, yes? And if we're trying to figure out when they're the same, we're trying to figure out when they are what? Equal. So to solve this here, all we need to do is take 12x plus 300 and set it equal to 10x plus 600. If we want to know when they're equal, we're going to set them equal to each other. Now we're going to solve for the value of x. What can we do first? No, it doesn't matter which one we minus first, because we're trying to get x by itself and everything else on the other side. We can minus 300 first. So we're going to subtract it from its like terms, because on the left-hand side, 300 minus 300 is 0. So 12x will still be there. On the right-hand side, the 10x will still be there. But our 600 and 300 are like terms. 600 minus 300 is plus 300. Now we still have x's on both sides, but we've gotten all the constant terms, our numbers without x on one side, yes? So what would we need to do next? So we still need to get the x's together, yes? So we can subtract the 10x from both sides. Because on the right-hand side, 10x minus 10x is 0. 10 minus 10 is 0. So we are left with the 300. On the left-hand side, 12x minus 10x is 2x. Now we would divide, because we want to get the variables by themselves first. Because 2x equals 300, we would need to divide both sides by 2. Two x divided by 2 is x. 300 divided by 2 is 150. So how many students do we need for the cost to be the same? 150 students. If, it doesn't ask this, but if there was 150 students going to this prom, does it matter which one we pick? Purely financially, if we're talking purely money. No, because they both cost the same, yes? So at that point, we're looking less about financial and more about which venue is nicer or has more stations, other things too. We're looking more at the other pieces, not at the price.
So it says that 150 students for both sides, for Sunview and Lake.
Will be the same.
So we'll have 154.
So if we have 150 students going to Lakeside, because that'd be 10 times 150 plus 600, which gives us $2,100. It costs us $2,100 to go to Sunview. If we go to Lakeside, well, that's 12 times 150 plus 300. It's the same. So the overall cost for either one with 150 students is the same. Does that make sense? Say we had 140, is it really going to matter? 10 times 140 plus 600 is 2,000. 12 times 140 plus 300. 1980. So we would save $20 going to Lakeside, yes? In the grand scheme of things, is $20 a big deal? Yeah. It's not going to be a huge difference between the two, because it is $12 per student, or, make sure, yeah. Yeah, $12 per student. Make sure I type both of those in right, because 10x plus 600, 10x, yeah. Yeah, 300. Yeah, it's not a huge difference. At that point, you're not really saving anything or gaining anything between the two. Questions on what we did here? All right. What if Maple Ridge charges a rental fee of $10 per student? The total cost is $1,900 for 140 students. Describe the number of students that must attend for the total cost of Maple Ridge to be less than the total cost of the other two venues. So we just need to find Maple Ridge. And up to this point with this lesson, we've had to find the slope, yes? Did they tell us what the slope is here? Yeah, $10 per student. So we know the slope. Did they give us a point? Yes, for 140 students, it cost $1,900. Bless you. Now at this point here, we just need to solve for the value of x, or solve for y. We need to get y by itself. So we'll distribute the 10. 10 times x is 10x. 10 times 140 is 1,400. Last thing we need to do is add 1,900 to both sides. Telling us that y is equal to 10x plus 500. Okay. Questions on how we found the equation of y? We feel good with this here? Okay. Now the question is asking us, which one or how many students must we have for Maple to be cheaper than the other two? Yes? Well, Sunview and Mapleview have the same slope. They're charging the same amount per student. Yes? So in geometry, or even in algebra, we would say that these two lines are parallel because parallel lines have the same slope. Yes? Which one's costing more? Sunview is already costing more, yes? So is there any way for Maple, no matter how many students we have, to be more than Sunview? No, it's already below the line. It will stay below the line because they're parallel. So the real thing we're looking at is when is Maple going to be cheaper than Lakeside? A good place to start to see is where they are the same. So what we can do is take Maple's equation, 10x plus 500, and set it equal to 12x plus 300. Because once we solve this equation, we find the value of x that makes them be the same. We know that anything more than that amount, Maple's going to be cheaper. What can we do first? We can subtract 300 from both sides. On the right-hand side, we still have our 12x, but our 300 minus 300 is 0. Left-hand side will have the 10x, and 500 minus 300 is 200. Then we would minus the 10x from both sides. Excuse me, 12x minus 10x is 2x. Left-hand side, 10x minus 10x is 0. Last, we divide both sides by 2, telling us x is equal to 100. So when you say what? So more than 100 students, Maple will be cheaper. Because we have to have at least 100 students. At 100 students, Maple and Lakeside are going to be the same if we have 100 students. If we have 101 students, Maple will be cheaper. Not by much, but it will be cheaper. And then we go from there. Questions on this here? Homework, page 30. 3 through 9 and 11. So 3 through 9, or 3 through 8 specifically. Use the graph to write an equation of a line and interpret the slope. So 3 through 8, you're finding the equation of the line, y equals mx plus b, and interpreting the slope, telling us in words what the slope is telling us. Number 9 is just like what we did here with the prom venues. Okay? So we're doing the exact same thing there. Number 11, problem number 11 is error analysis. Number 11, describe and correct the error. So there's two main parts. You're telling what they did wrong and fixing it. I need both. I need both parts. If you say that it's correct, I will mark it wrong.